go with that. All right. I like that. Okay, friends, we should talk about some weaving stuff, shouldn't we? That is part of the reason we all gather, right? Let me see if I can get you. It's precarious over here, friends. Precarious. Okay. So, you know what I wanted to mention today? By the way, still working on Lisa's grandma's project. If you weren't able to join us, well, last week, a couple weeks ago, how long have I been working on this? 2 weeks, I guess. Yeah, at least 2 weeks. This is a project that I'm working on for my friend Lisa. Her grandmother unfortunately passed away year and a half, 2 years ago, somewhere in there. And she gave me blouses from grandma. And she was like, can you transform them into some fabric that will be wallets? We're going to make little wallets like this kind of size and scale. And I always put a little label in there. Anyways, the plan is to make 10. I need to text Lisa after this to make sure it's correct. 10. Yes, pretty sure that's correct. So let's talk about planning for just a moment. So first of all, what's so interesting about this kind of project is that I know it's going to be chopped up into pieces. So I think, at least for me, I think about the fabric differently when that's the case. If I know that what is on the loom is going to be presented as one full piece, whether it be, a runner, a scarf, whatever I'm working on, if I know it has to be one full piece, I think about it differently, how it's constructed. But if I know this is going to be chopped up, you can kind of be creative in a different way. Does that make sense? Because I know that when we cut this, they're only going to see this much or this much or this much. So it sometimes it kind of takes the pressure off for how it looks, because people aren't going to see this full thing all together. It's just going to be little bits and pieces. So let me really quickly, I'll show you the strips of the fabric that I'm working with. So we've got this guy. It was this really pretty blouse. I had like all the spring colors, really, really beautiful. That's one. That's the first option. There are 4 blouses she gave me. The next one was this really striking kind of turquoise teal color with a little thin white stripe. That was the second one. The third one, also a stripe, but like a candy cane kind of pink, like a really dark pink kind of color there. And the last one was a really, really pale pink, almost kind of skin colored, but really, like, all of the fabrics are very soft, drapey, which is kind of fun. Now, when I'm doing this kind of project, I tend to cut the strips based on how much they're going to squish. It's the squishability. I think I mentioned this last time. The squishability factor is what determines how I cut the stripes. Like this dude, and well, this one especially, there's like nothing to this one. So I cut this a little wider. This is the most dense of all of them, so I made sure this is a little bit thinner. Now, for me, my goal is to mostly have these as the weft, to have them all squished to about the same height. Do you call it a height? The height of the pick? Something like that. But you don't have to. You could have them intentionally be uneven. So some are taller, some are shorter. Like, that is all weaver's choice, how you want to tackle that problem. There's no real wrong answer there. And I don't necessarily make sure that they're all overlapping. Sometimes I'll leave space in the fabric just because I know it's not the end of the world. You can have a little gap, which I'll show you. Here, I'll bring it in close so you can see it. Okay, so here is the fabric here. So let me see. It's maybe someplace kind of like this. Like, I didn't necessarily make sure it was overlapped, but it's not. I'm not worried about that because all these are going to kind of fill in. Plus, I am kind of a paranoid weaver, so I always have another weft yarn kind of running underneath everything just to make sure that's going to kind of hold it together and it has the structure it needs. So I don't worry. There are times, especially if you look kind of at the end here, there's times it doesn't always go to the end. And other times I'll just wrap it around so it's actually maybe even a little bit denser, so it all kind of balances out. Now, as I'm weaving, because I know this is not going to be one full thing, I will kind of pay attention if it looks like there's like if I have too much of this teal color on this side, I'll make sure that I'm incorporating some of the other ones here. So as I'm always kind of scanning the width of the fabric to see where do I need to add other colors, where do I have too much of the pink, where do I have too much of the it's really this pink stripe and the teal color. Those are the two that are really prominent. The other ones, like this sweet, like really, really pale pink one, it just almost reads white with the other colors around it. So it's very interesting to kind of build the fabric as you go. Does that sound weird? But you know what I mean, right? So as I'm going, I'm always adjusting what I'm putting into the weft as I go. Now, the other thing I'll mention is that we need 10 wallets out of this. So I did it such so I can fit about 4 across, and I'm going to do 3 rows. So I went ahead and put in a little, I got a little measuring yarn here. And let me know how you like to tackle this, but I typically measure a piece of scrap yarn to the length that I want, which in this case will be about 36 inches. And then I pin it to the side of the fabric, and it's just out of the way. Like I make sure it doesn't get worked into the fabric somehow, but otherwise I just know that as I roll it, as I'm making progress forwarding the fabric, that when I get closer and closer to the end, I have a pretty accurate gauge of how much I need to weave in order to have enough fabric for a set. In this case, it'll be 12. I'll make sure I have extras. And I know that I will have a lot of weft left over because basically I need to weave a yard. That's it. I need to weave a yard. So I'll have more left over. So what I'll probably do then is that whatever strips of grandma's blouses are left, I'll just keep incorporating that, and I'll actually intentionally make extra until I run out. And then we'll see. I always like to have extra just in case there's a kind of, oh yeah, I've got so-and-so, it'd be nice if they had a wallet too. Or, hey, I really think that I want, can you throw in a clutch to go with that or something, people change their minds, and I like to make sure I have extra because we only have a finite amount of grandma's blouses, and this is the time that we're going to do this. Now, what's interesting about this kind of project too, what I'll mention is that I like to stop somewhere in the middle, and like this is probably a perfect spot is to put the camera on and make a little video for Lisa and the family. And the purpose is that people generally 97% of the population know nothing about weaving, like big goose egg, like nothing. So I think it's always helpful to then stop and make a quick video and say, hey, I just wanted to show you what it looks like to incorporate grandma's blouses into the fabric that then will become your that will become your wallets. So then they have just a little kind of insight into what the process looks like. And I don't do that with the intention of converting them all to weavers. That would be amazing. However, that is not the goal. The goal is just that they can connect the dots. And so when someone down the road asks, hey, your wallet is so cute, where did you get it? Whatever, they can say, hey, I saw this lady who took my grandma's blouses and cut them in strips and wove fabric on a loom. Like that becomes part of the story. And I don't know about you, but a story is always worth so much. They're really valuable. And that just kind of, it also makes it seem more special. I mean, it's always special to have, if you can repurpose something through weaving, but if you can actually give them a story they can tell too, ooh, primo, even better. So here, let me do a little bit after it's a lot of talking, right? Okay, so here we go. Where am I? Okay, there we go. I like to always lead with my little background weft here. I took 3 tiny little yarns together. One's kind of, I don't know how well you can see that, but one's kind of a medium blue. One's a little bit, got a little fuzz to it. And the other one's just this really pretty kind of silky, I think it's actually even like sewing thread. But I put those 3 together because I wanted them to, I didn't want it to be a solid color. I wanted to have a little movement. It sounds so kind of hoity-toity, doesn't it? I wanted the yarn to have movement. But that was true, honestly. Okay, so here we go. All right, send that through first. And then I'll decide what strips. That's the word. Strips of blouses. Which blouses go in next? Now, because of where I am and what I've done, like how the rows look, I think I'm gonna lead with this guy here. By the way, this is not a quick process. Let me just clarify. This is not a quick one, but it's just a very different way to think about making fabric. So I like to just get in there with my fingers and put the strips in. You absolutely, if you are a quick seamstress and you want to just sew the things end to end to end, and then put it into some kind of shuttle and go from there, you absolutely can. Of course you can. For me, I'm not going to sew anything. So, but as I talked about, I also like the kind of freedom of being spontaneous and doing things on the fly. So I don't mind. I just do it in small chunks and off she goes. Okay, let's see. So this one doesn't quite reach the end, but because of what I had before, I want to make sure that it goes to this end on this side. You know, there's a whole kind of, you just kind of strategize as you go through it. So I am actually going to bring in the pink to go on the other end here, just like that. Then I'll come back around. I'm about maybe 10 inches into it. So I got a little bit to go, but it's been very fun. And I haven't done this kind of project in a while. I really do enjoy them. It's I think after doing the what was the curtain project? After doing the handwork there, I needed a break from that. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to get in there with my fingers and do a little more like that. So I'm going to bring that around the corner. Then I think it's time to bring in, gosh, I think I may do another pink here. But you see how it goes, right? You just kind of evaluate how does the fabric look? What do you want to add? So the colors are kind of equally sprinkled. I've also done this kind of project in the past where I've had a beefier weft, and I would actually, it'd be mostly about the weft, and then I would just add little bits of recycled pieces as accents. This one is a little more heavy, just about the recycled strips versus the weft, but you can kind of flip that around so that it's mostly about the weft. And then when you feel like you put in a little bit of a recycled, some kind of recycled material to go with that. So yes, ta-da! That's the project du jour, which I'll be honest, is probably going to be the project du jour for at least another week. That's what I'm guessing, friends. So I just saw this comment. Yes, it is. It doesn't have to be your way though. That can be, everyone can choose. They can all choose. Yes. Okay, let me grab some comments here while I was jabbering on. Let's see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Brittany. She says, I love how it's turning out. Really excited about this project. Thank you. You know, okay, so here's between you and me and the internet. It's a lot of teal and pink. I almost think that when it comes to the lining, I either want to use, if I have enough left, I either want to use the blouses as the lining for the wallets or like a darker color. I think it needs a little weight for me. Do you know what I mean? That sounds very woo-woo, doesn't it? The colors have to move. I need some weight. Yeah. But there is a certain kind of balance, and it's pretty springy, which clearly Grandma was a springy kind of girl. So I can't argue with that. It's not about me. It's about Grandma. So we'll, yes. Ellen said, love the work. Would be great for a baby blanket. Oh, it absolutely would. That's a great idea. Yes, it absolutely would be great for a baby blanket. I like that. Trish asked, how do I cut the strips? Okay, friends, I wish I had some brilliant idea to share with you here, but I take a pair of scissors and I cut them. Now, here's what you should know is that if it's a project like this, I do it by hand, trying to be as thoughtful and careful as I can. However, If I am just doing a general recycled project where I'm using, like, I love to use old neckties. I love that. They're so fun. And I will take the tie, take out the guts, and then I'll do it like you're cutting fettuccine. I will fold it over and take some scissors, and because then I don't care as much if they're whatever. But this kind of thing, I am very careful, and I'm always keenly aware that there's a finite amount of material to work with. So that's a good one. By the way, I don't have the link here ready yet, but in April for Earth Day, we're going to do a repurposing and weaving class. And I'll dive into all kinds of fun details for that. So yes, thank you. Gemma was saying it looks nice. Connie says it looks it's kind of like overshot because of the binding yarn. Yeah, kind of. Absolutely. Yes. Because you're always working with two, at least I always work with two wefts for that. Yeah. Yeah. Lori was saying the colors have a nostalgic feel. Oh, I like that. Yes, I could see that. Grandma lived to be, was she 90 something? Yeah. I never got to meet her, but I get the impression that Grandma was always a very well-dressed woman. Lori also asked, Chris, do you use only cotton fabric in the weft or anything goes? Do you know what? Because it's never going to go through the washer and dryer, anything goes. That's a good question. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I use cotton for the warp because I love that. You know me. But for the weft, it's whatever looks good because it's dry clean only for sure. Yeah. Yeah. The video is something that I did when I was doing a lot of custom stuff that became just a nice little extra. Like they don't pay extra for that, but I just made me feel good that I could give them that kind of story so I could connect all the dots of how it went from grandma's blouse hanging on a hanger to your wallet. This is the kind of in-between process. Yeah. Trish asked, could you make towels with the rest of the warp to go with them? Do you know what? My warp is spaced at 8 ends per inch. That'd be tough. That would be, I mean, not impossible. You'd have to have, yeah, that'd be tricky, my friend. But that's a fun idea to have something that goes with it, like a little coordinating something. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I asked about how do you keep track of where you are? Connie says, when measuring, I use pins in the middle of the web. I measure by 3 inches. I pin. Oh, got it. Okay, so you're like, you will, so Connie, correct me if I'm wrong. So you'll like measure, put a pin, measure as you go, put another pin. Is that what you mean? It's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like that. Oh, look at you, Connie. Connie's just a barcode. Connie, I just want to be you when I grow up. Come on. She's like, hey, how about a barcode? So they can watch it when they want. That's amazing. I'm going to send them a plain old link, my friend. But I like that idea. Sky said, I love seeing other fibers being used for wefts. Yeah. Oh, me too, Sky. Me too. Okay. Let's see. What else? Sue Ann said, video is such a good way to explain weaving. Yeah, when I try to verbally explain, I think I'm being so clear. When I slowly explaining heddles and shafts, I see eyes glazing over. It's hard. It's hard to explain weaving without a visual, some kind of visual. It can be a photo. It can be anything, but it's, yeah. I love that. Cindy said, when my mom died, I used her Christmas jewelry and sewed our family ornaments. Aw. Very sweet. There's so many cool recycling ideas. That is for sure. All right, friends.